Tonight on News 5 Live, shot to the head. Robber with bulletproof vest goes down during attack on shop in 8 Miles. PSU shocked by letter saying CEO salaries remain the same and asked the GG to defer her salary increase for 3 years. And is it censorship or protecting public health? These stories and more coming up next on News 5 Live.
Good morning, sweetie. It's time for school.
Are you a teacher or public sector employee who is thinking of owning your new home? Get the keys to your new home with Belize Bank's all-inclusive mortgage, the best financing option in Belize for your new home purchase or construction. Inclusive of all mortgage-related fees, no down payment, affordable terms, amazingly low interest rates. Visit our nearest branch to speak to one of our financial advisors to discuss how you can be one step closer to owning your new home. Some conditions apply.
Life can be tough when a loved one suddenly departs. Dependents of the deceased are sometimes left alone to pick up the pieces and may be stranded financially. Fortunately, the Social Security Board provides survivor's benefit to ease the burden. Survivor's benefit is paid to a widow or widower, children under 18 years, or up to 21 years if attending school, or dependent parents. A survivor's benefit can be either a grant or a pension. Want to know more about survivor's benefit? Visit our website or contact any of our offices to have someone assist you. Also, be sure to visit our Facebook page and give us a like to stay informed. Social Security Board, safeguarding you, your family, your future.
It's a fact that with Smart, you get truly unlimited everything. Only with Smart, you get unlimited data anytime, while with the other guy, it's only double data on weekends. With unlimited data every day with Smart, there's no need to wait. So, it's a fact that our unlimited plans beat the competition. Stop being measured and told when to use your data and get unlimited talk, text, and data. Experience the true unlimited plans with Smart. That's a fact. Make the switch and live smart.
It's time to put your TVs on lockdown. COVID won't stop us this time. After a year of waiting, Summerfest is back, pandemic style. If you're under the age of 18 and you think you have the talent, we are looking for you. Submit videos to us on Facebook, Instagram, and email, or join us here at Channel 5 on Coney Drive to audition from July 26th to 30th from 10 a.m. to midday. Be a part of Summerfest 2021 and show Belize your talent.
This newscast is brought to you by the Belize Bank Limited. Our country, your bank.
Good evening and welcome to News 5 Live for Thursday, July 22nd. I am Sabrina Daly. The peace of the 8 Miles community was shattered this morning when a holdup at a grocery store left one of the alleged perpetrators dead, even though he arrived prepared, wearing a bulletproof vest. It all unfolded around 9 a.m. and News 5's Paul Lopez arrived on the scene just moments later.
At around 9 a.m. this morning, residents in the 8 Mile community along the George Price Highway heard about 4 shots ring out.
They heard 4 shots.
They heard 4 shots?
4 shots. Then, was like 20 minutes, I got ambulance and police. So I come out here to come check more or less what happened.
When the smoke cleared, 1 man was dead and several others were injured. The deceased has been identified as 19-year-old Ashton Samuels. This is Samuels wearing a bulletproof vest and brandishing a firearm in an image reportedly taken moments before the robbery. Reports saw that Samuels entered Jackie's fast food and supermarket along with 3 other male individuals and attempted to rob the store.
I was over there, I was sitting over there, and a gentleman came on that bicycle that you see lying down on the cement there and grabbed me and was trying to pull me into the shop.
Police says that once inside the store, the men met 2 women. The culprits pointed their firearms at them and proceeded to take an undisclosed amount of cash from a white container under the counter. They then moved to the kitchen where they accosted business owner Chu Rong Zhang and relieved him of his wallet.
And I saw the owner of the shop, the Chinese, came out with blood over his head and coming down his face and like that.
Zhang was knocked out momentarily. He regained consciousness in time to retrieve his licensed shotgun and walked to the back of his building. There, he reportedly fired at 3 of the fleeing men who were attempting to jump a barbed wire fence. Samuels' bulletproof vest did nothing to guard his life as he received multiple gunshots to the face. A second assailant fell in the yard, while an injured Tyler Ramklam was able to scale the fence. But a brief search in the area led police to him, sitting on an old fridge inside some bushes. He was attended to by medical personnel, placed into an ambulance, and rushed to the hospital.
I know the Chinese man has a gun, and I was made to understand that the young ladies, they also have gun under the counter, but it's not something that I know or I see.
We hear people saying that they shouldn't have been shot, these young men.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, if I go to rob you and you shoot me, I deserve it. And as far as I'm concerned, laziness is one of the worst diseases, because by the sweat of your brow you shall eat bread.
Members of the community lined the highway and surrounded the supermarket as they awaited the removal of Samuels' lifeless body. Ramklam's grandfather believes his grandson did not take part in the robbery because he says he did not see his grandson in the area all morning.
People are claiming that my grandson, whose name is Tyler, came out. I did not see my grandson out here at all this morning. Right, so I would just like to clear that up, that my grandson was not out here.
Tyler Ramklam was listed in a stable condition. The businessman was treated for the injuries he sustained to the head and discharged. Reporting for News 5, I am Paul Lopez.
The Public Service Union is speaking out following a leaked letter that guarantees CEO salaries and allowances will not be touched. The document from the Office of the Prime Minister, dated July 2nd and signed by Cabinet Secretary Stuart Leslie, is addressed to all chief executive officers in ministries of the Government of Belize. It says Cabinet has approved that all CEOs' salaries and allowances will remain as recommended in May 2020 with no further cuts. Earlier today, PSU President Dean Flowers says this flies in the face of the recent 10% salary cut imposed on public officers, teachers, and frontline workers.
These were the measures taken under the Barrow administration. For CEOs,
for the period May 20 to April 21, they were to see a reduction in their housing and entertainment allowance from $1,500 a month to $750. That was the cut, the only cut so that was one of the cuts that was levied on CEOs, a reduction in their entertainment allowance, and also there was a reduction in their gratuity from 20% to 15% for the period 1st May 2020 to 30th April 2021. So absolutely no adjustment was made on the salaries of CEOs. For us to have learned now that they were not included in this salary adjustment, bear in mind that when the government came and presented its numbers on cost savings, they included every single public officer. And the Attorney General will tell you that the former Solicitor General, I believe it was Nigel Ha, has an opinion there that states that anybody that is paid from the public purse is classified as a public officer. So this adjustment was to apply to all public officers. We went from judges and magistrates being exempted to now CEOs being exempted. When we did the calculation on the savings, when we ran the numbers, all of these individuals were included, and that's the reason why I say that we cannot trust the numbers that are being put out by the Ministry of Finance and this administration.
The PSU is now seeking legal advice because the Public Sector Emoluments and Allowances Bill, which was passed by the House of Representatives on May 28th and in the Senate on June 4th, instituted salary cuts across the board.
My immediate reaction when a copy of the letter was sent to me yesterday was one of a relative of Kendra, the famous Kendra. That was my immediate reaction. I was extremely shocked and surprised. And I, of course, reached out firstly to my Council of Management and to inform them of it. And then we then proceeded to have a discussion on that with our general membership last night. What can we first of all do legally? When this SSI was passed and this act was adopted in the House, and it spoke to public officers and senior public officers, is there any, what are the deficiencies in this act or the SI that would allow CEOs to get away with not sacrificing along with the Belizean people? That's the first avenue, to get a solid legal opinion on it, and then to write to the Prime Minister to say that based on the law, the Cabinet Secretary does not have such an authority to override a legislation that has passed through the House and the Senate to now provide for exemption of a special group of talented individuals.
The Public Service Union has also written to Governor General Forla Salam expressing concern over the Governor General's Conditions of Service Amendment Bill 2021, which provides for an increase in salary, duty allowance, and insurance coverage for the GG and her immediate family. In the letter dated July 15th, the PSU says that while it supports the bill, they are strongly objecting to its timing because just a month ago, the GG herself signed into law the bill to see public officers' salaries cut by 10%.
To date, we have not received any response from the Governor General. Our intent, of course, when we wrote to her was to remind Her Excellency that she is the head of state and she must lead by example. Our intention was also to point out that to whom much is given, much is expected, and hence the reason why, as we're having this interview, the situations with the CEO being exempted from a 10% salary cut is a utter disrespect to the laborers of this country. We expect that the GG will do the right thing and stand in solidarity with the workers of the public service, and we expect that she will defer her increase in salary for the next 3 years in solidarity. Of course, it is her choice, but it will speak also of her legacy and her decision to abandon the recovery efforts of this country will form part of her legacy and will be etched forever in the history book. So we expect that she will do the right thing.
A television show featuring proponents of the COVID-19 vaccine and the Belizean rights and justice movement, a newly formed group against the shot, has been called off. The decision follows Prime Minister John Bersenio's call to Love FM's morning show on Wednesday to share his position on the controversial issue. News 5 spoke with attorney Arthur Saldivar, who is a member of the anti-vaxxers movement. He took issue with the Prime Minister's stance, as well as the Belize Broadcasting Authority for, quote, censoring the views of Belizean citizens.
It is unheard of that the Prime Minister of a democratic country would call a talk show to censor the views of citizens who are trained and responsible citizens, I might add. I don't believe that anyone can point to any statement that I have made that have been without factual basis. Now, yes, I do admit I've had my issues, but those issues certainly was not in relation to the truth of the content of what I was saying. What I will say is this: my opposition to the SI 74 and 78 has more to do with the fact that it shows that the framers of that piece of legislation gave no thought to the Belizean worker as it relates to what would happen should they comply with the quasi-mandatory requirement of taking a vaccine. There is no provision in there for compensation. What happens in the off chance that the Belizean worker that takes the vaccine is one of those who fall within the 1 or 2% of persons who would be adversely affected by the vaccine? Who takes care of them or their family if they are so incapacitated? That should have been within the provisions of the SIs. Outside of that, it is very much disproportionate as it relates to the penalty for those who are government workers and those who work in the private sector.
For a different legal perspective on free speech, News 5 spoke with senior counsel Andrew Marshallek. He says that the Constitution is quite clear on certain restrictions, including the fact that one cannot purposely spread misinformation. He says fact-checking is key and other laws must be respected.
Well, I think the law on this have always been pretty clear. The right to freedom of protection and freedom of expression is provided for at Section 12 of our Constitution. There is the right to freely express oneself, subject to certain limitations. The the right, of course, cannot be exercised at the expense of others or at the expense of the public good. So there's always been recognized limitations to the right. You can't knowingly present or promote misinformation or anything that's defamatory or otherwise unlawful. So long as what you're presenting can be scientifically fact-checked and has a basis in truth, I would think it can be said. The philosophical underpinning of the right and its limitations comes from the notion that silencing opinion is wrong, even if, and some people take the view, notable philosophers have taken the view that it's wrong even if the opinion is false, because knowledge comes from the collision of truth with error. It is recognized that if something has a threat to public health, and a law can be passed to restrain it, and there are existing laws, I understand, that already do so, although not in so many words. So the long and short to your question is that yes, there's a right to express your views and to even publicly disseminate them, but in doing so you have to act responsibly and in accordance with law. It means no defamation, no and no publications that are otherwise infringing other laws.
Coming up, there's more news after the break, including the latest on redistricting. Stay with us.
Did you know that the 2021 Belize Telephone Directory is now available? Get your free copy today at any Digistore, Quartz Belize, and A&R location countrywide. It's available in both regular and mini sizes and loaded with coupons to your favorite places. Use these coupons to save every day. Plus, download the Find Yellow mobile app and always have the directory with you. It's available in Google Play and Apple Store. For more info, log on to www.findyellow.com. The 2021 Belize Telephone Directory. Get yours today.
That's the sound of fuel efficiency. Every day, every time, I choose Una Fuels, powered with Dynamax. Una, a brand committed with the future.
Smart continues to expand its internet coverage countrywide to help you live a smarter life.
Our villagers are very happy. They are pleased to know that Smart went the extra mile to put a tower in our village so that our villagers can get live stream on their TVs and they can get their kids doing their online classes. I want to say to Smart, thank you for making it possible for us to get internet in Gardenia Village. We really do appreciate it.
Smart continues to take the internet and mobile services to communities across Belize. Now save even more when you bundle your Smart broadband with Smart mobile services. Smart, bringing people together.
No make no sense at all. No kind of sense. That Belize video when I have that sign up there in the China call.
That not in China at all, that in Spanish.
You understand what it said then?
Yeah. It said wear your face mask properly, cover your nose and your mouth.
Will help prevent the spread of COVID to others. Together we could make Belize safe.
Wear your mask properly over your mouth and nose to protect yourself and others. Together we can keep Belize COVID-19 safe.
Why, Tony?
Boy, kid, what you going on, man?
We actually can see we can need to buy a stack of them plastic plates and cups for my grocery shop because I run low.
Boy, I stopped importing things since April 15th, you know. And I just ran out to the last batch, must be about like 3 weeks back, you know.
Man, do I usually have anything? What are you going on?
Check this, right? That's the new law, we ban all single-use plastics, so that the cups, plates, forks, spoons, and knives, all of that. Since April 15th, can't import none of them. Starting January 15, 2021, you can't manufacture them. April 15, 2021, you can't sell them. And after July 14, 2021, if you get catch with any other thing, you will get fined.
Me never know this. I guess I have to make some changes then. I have to make any customers know that anything not available. Anyways, bro. Thanks, man.
No problem, man. Take care.
cabinet brief issued by the Briceño administration on Wednesday says Henry Charles Usher, Minister of the Public Service, Constitutional and Political Reform, has provided an update on the forthcoming redistricting exercise. Viewers may recall there is presently a case before Acting Chief Justice Michelle Arana involving the revision of legislative districts. Attorney Andrew Marshallek, who represents Lord Michael Ashcroft as an interested party in the matter, says that the case will proceed to trial despite the pending exercise.
That case was started the year before elections, almost 1 year before. And just before the elections, there were proceedings concerning whether or not an injunction should be granted restraining the holding of the elections. That case is still pending. Directions have been given for that claim to proceed to trial, and it is proceeding to trial. The defense of the government put forth in the claim was that we recognize that there's malapportionment, that redistricting is necessary, but there wasn't the time to effect the redistricting before the elections were held. Well, the elections have come and gone, so what's left with the government now is to decide when it is that they will be proceeding with the redistricting, and not if they will proceed with redistricting. So I think that effort is now being made, or I understand that effort is now being made to move that along. But the case is pending, and it's on its way. Directions have been given for it to proceed to trial.
The claim was initially filed by the Belize Peace Movement. However, legal counsel Arthur Saldivar has come forward to say that Cabinet should not interfere with the process, since the Supreme Court is yet to hand down a decision in the matter.
The news of Cabinet's intervention is somewhat regrettable, because this is not a matter for Cabinet at all. It would amount to executive overreach. We have separation of powers as part of our democratic tradition, as is the tradition in all democratic countries, and the legislature is independent and apart from the executive. The constitutional duty to act in relation to the unconstitutionality of our state of affairs as it relates to Section 90 falls squarely upon the Election and Boundaries Commission. And it's the Commission and the Commission alone, acting in autonomy, that has the duty to inform Parliament of its recommendations. So to have Cabinet issue a public statement is tantamount to overreach, and certainly it's regrettable that they would do so. It shows a clear-cut misapprehension of what the Constitution entails, and this is very sad, considering that I believe lawyers are in that body.
So with renewed interest in finalizing a plan to be presented to Cabinet, will the redistricting exercise have any bearing on the court's decision? According to Marshallek, the process will commence after Chief Justice Arana has rendered a decision.
Well, I don't think that redistricting would have been affected before the case can be determined. The case would probably be determined first. But if the object of the case, and we're not the claimants, I represent an interested party, was to provoke and encourage the government to embark upon redistricting, clearly some of that provocation is no longer required, given that they say that they will do it. But in terms of the timing of it, in terms of creating an urgency for it to be done, it might still have its value. There is a tendency always to the redistricting exercise will result in fundamental changes, in that just a basic analysis of the numbers and the demographics as they exist in Belize, as the independent experts report shows that in Belize City there's 4 too many, in Cayo there's 2 too little, Orange Walk 1 too little, and between Stan Creek and Toledo they're also 1 short. So you need to reduce Belize District by 4. 1 goes to Orange Walk, 2 goes to Cayo, and 1 goes in between Toledo and Stan Creek.
A robbery at the Bethesda Medical Clinic in Corozal has left the staff shaken. but the alleged culprits have already been caught. Police say they responded to a robbery report at the clinic Wednesday afternoon, where the administrator, Zema Cambranes, reported that she and several staff members were held up by two men who entered the building. One was armed with a knife. The thieves made off with purses, cell phones, and a computer for a total value of over $4,000. Police have since recovered the phones and have arrested a 16-year-old minor and 27-year-old Leroy Hendricks. Both are facing robbery charges. There has been a surprising development in the sudden death of a young woman, Jessica Ichchuk, from Armenia this week. Police has detained and charged 4 people from the village with grievous harm following an alleged beating Chuck received at the hands of her husband and his sisters last weekend. The victim's mother and another sister-in-law told News 5 a fight had taken place on Friday night at a home in the village. On Saturday morning, Chuck went to the hospital for treatment and died that night. Relatives had indicated she had other health problems, and today the police department shared the results of an autopsy. It indicated that Chuck, she died of acute hepatitis and pulmonary edema. This morning, 19-year-old Landy Thomas and 26-year-old Wayne Zelaya and a minor stood before a magistrate in Belmopan to answer a single charge of setting a bonfire without the permission of a police officer. It is alleged that on Tuesday night, both men set fire to tires on the highway in Kamalote village during a Justice for Laddie protest. Now, the mother of Landy Thomas is accusing police officers of brutalizing her son when he was detained that night. She told News 5 over the phone that she has sought legal advice and is now encouraging more parents to stand up for their children.
On Tuesday night, I get a phone call stating that I need to come and see my son right away because the police them have her in our back street to beat him. On arrival on that scene, I saw 2 pickup from the SPO unit, and when I get out of my vehicle and I went to speak with the officer in charge, the commander of SPU, I asked, I said, what happened here? And what he said, go to the Rolling Creek police station. So I followed them and I went to Rolling Creek police station. When I reached there, it was a 2 pickup full of police officers. I mean, Paul, when I reached there and I saw my son's face from both sides, I was 12.
Did your family know Laddie Gillett, the young man that was shot and killed by police?
My younger son used to play football. And Laddie, all of them used to hang out. Laddie used to go to the same church with us, the Shepherd's Church. So it's not something that we don't know Laddie. We all know Laddie. And I mean, when my kids they hear it, it takes them hard. It really hit them hard to know somebody so young gone. And to what? So I want more parents to get out there and fight for their kids there because their police have to stop. I don't think they'll wait until somebody else dead again till something happened to this.
The minor and Wayne Zelaya were released on bail today. However, Landy Thomas was remanded to face another charge. After the break, getting in back-to-school mode with the gift of school supplies. But first, here's a look at the latest COVID-19 figures.
My name is Julie, and I'm a single mom raising a 10-year-old son. I'm the director for a conservation organization. When I started working in the field of marine conservation, it was absolutely male-dominated. It still is male-dominated. One of my first jobs was as a manager out on a remote island with all male staff reporting to me. And one of my assistants was very upset with me and actually told me, the only woman who ever tells me what to do is my mom. And I have my son, and I really do want to show him that really anything can be done, and it doesn't matter who you are. From day one, I've been teaching my son that any job that a man can do, a woman can do. And he has learned this, and he now preaches this to friends and even my colleagues.
Live and let live. Respect for all Belizeans.
Continues to expand its internet coverage countrywide to help you live a smarter life.
Our villagers are very happy. They are pleased to know that Smart went the extra mile to put a tower in our village so that our villagers can get live stream on their TVs and they can get their kids doing their online classes. I want to say to Smart, thank you for making it possible for us to get internet in Gardenia Village. We really do appreciate it.
Smart continues to take the internet and mobile services to communities across Belize. Now save even more when you bundle your smart broadband with smart mobile services. Smart, bringing people together.
Dwayne Moody, Isani Cayetano, Andrea Polanco, Paul Lopez. Your News 5 Belize teams do whatever it takes. Go wherever they need to go, so you can catch the story wherever you are, whenever you want, on whatever device. Channel 5 Belize on television, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Because news is now everywhere, all the time. And so are we.
How does COVID-19 affect the body?
How concerned should I be about COVID variants?
How effective is the COVID-19 vaccine?
What are the side effects of the vaccine?
How will this pandemic come to an end?
How do I keep my family and myself safe?
We all have many questions about COVID. Here's a chance to get your answers. On Monday, July 26th, a team of medical experts and COVID survivors will answer these questions and more in a show where you get the facts, dispel the myths. The live discussion on COVID-19 starts at 7:30 p.m. on Channel 5 and streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. Post your questions using hashtag #GetTheFacts.
Their ship may have left the port of Belize, but Belize City stevedores say they will continue to challenge Cabinet's decision to allow the ships they have been offloading sugar from to begin docking in Big Creek. News 5's Paul Lopez has more on this week's developments.
The Belize Sugar Industries ASR Group has relocated its sugar loading operations from the Port of Belize facility in Belize City to the Big Creek port in Stan Creek District. The stevedores who work the sugar ship are not happy about this move, according to the president of their labor union, Mose Hyde.
We are deeply offended by that.
The offense comes not necessarily by the move itself, but in the cabinet's decision on Tuesday to bypass a memorandum of understanding signed between GOB and the Banana Enterprise Limited, the parent company of Big Creek Port, back in 2006. The document stipulates that the company will not provide port facilities and operations at the Big Creek Port for general cargo vessels, which are currently utilizing the Belize City Port at Port Loyola. And Big Creek Port must restrict their operations to business located in southern Belize. The union was blindsided.
There was no engagement at that level to have any kind of... We don't even have a justification right now, to be honest with you. We don't even know why. What is the position for the dismissal of the MOU? We just know that that has happened.
BSI ASR has been loading its export sugar at the Port of Belize for decades. Earlier this year, however, the company announced its intentions of shifting operations to the Big Creek upon completion of a facility there. Unlike in Belize City, in Big Creek, sugar ships can come right in and drop anchor, saving the company both time and money. The CEO for Port of Belize says he was informed the company is within its rights to make the change.
On the later telephone conference, the Minister of Labour said that it was BSI's right to decide where they take the sugar to.
With that, as soon as Wednesday morning, the ASR-BSI sugar ship that was being loaded at the Port of Belize moved to the Big Creek Port to complete the loading. But that was not an arbitrary decision, since the stevedores at the Port of Belize have been on a go-slow for the past 12 days, costing the sugar company a lot of money.
That ship has sat out there now for 12 days. She's supposed to load 11,000 tons of sugar. And in 12 days, the ship should have been finished by now. In 12 days, the ship has loaded 1,000 tons of sugar.
CEO Lane says while he does not agree with the government's decision to discard the 2006 MOU, he views the CWU's action as damaging to all parties involved.
And for the life of me, I do not understand the action of CWU is hurting my stevedores, it's hurting the farmers, it's hurting Belize Sugar Industries. It makes the country look an unreliable trading partner. It has not served anybody, any purposes whatsoever.
For their part, the Christian Workers Union leader says their fight is not over.
They will have to do better than sending an indirect message to us that the MOU is not going to play any part in what happens going forward.
Reporting for News 5, I am Paul Lopez.
The government of Belize has signed a grant agreement with the Caribbean Development Bank under the Basic Needs Trust Fund program. According to a release from GOB, the BNTF focuses on reducing poverty in low-income vulnerable communities. Sub-projects under the fund will aim at improving access to quality education and training, water and sanitation, basic community access and drainage, and human resource development. Project costs at the financing plan are estimated at over $5 million, with CDB providing the majority of this, with counterpart funding from GOB of $700,000. Despite the rise in COVID-19 cases, the plan, until otherwise announced, is for schools to return to face-to-face learning next school year. Today at the Radisson Fort George, a brief handing over ceremony was held where 2 Belize City schools and an NGO received school bags and supplies to assist children whose families have been hard hit by the pandemic. News 5's Dwayne Moody reports.
Child First and Last is a non-profit organization that has been working in Belize for the past 8 years. Today, 300 school bags and supplies were donated to 3 institutions in Belize City to help students transition back into the classroom this coming school year.
We realize that things are tough, and especially with COVID, a lot of people just don't have the funds to buy things to send their children back to school. We believe strongly that if we don't educate our nation, especially our young children, then we'd have lost a generation and put us back a few years. We cannot afford to do that, plus the needs right now are so great, especially with people out of work, and we want to see our children in school. We want them to learn. It's the only way we're going to develop a nation.
The three recipients today were Mirai's ministry, which works with students in remedial and after-school classes in the Victoria Street area, as well as students from the Salvation Army Primary School and Wesley Upper Division.
COVID has actually caused a knockout punch within our school community. We have been struggling pre-COVID, and then it got even worse with the onset of COVID. We are one of the schools who tried the face-to-face approach, and it was a real struggle for supplies, school bags, and just coming to school. It was a real struggle. So when I received the message and the call from Ms. Pat, I was elated. I immediately shared with the staff, and we were overjoyed to be receiving this donation. The 135 bags and supplies that we'll be using will go to our 50%, a little bit over 50% of our student body, and it will be distributed without prejudice or pride.
I partnered with CFAL 3 years ago, and ever since I've partnered with them, my children have been benefiting from that partnership. We get 10 children who are on scholarships, and those children get a school bag every year with a limited school supply, but something that's useful for them. And it assists the parents, because at Salvation Army we cater to the children with a lot of needs. It assists those children the most needy. So this year, giving all of my children a school bag, that's going to be great.
Dwayne Moody for News 5.
Just ahead, a new holiday means a new calendar of events. Find out what is being planned for Emancipation Day when we return.
Yes, we got callers, plenty of callers. We picking up the whole Caribbean. Yes, we got callers, plenty of callers. We representing red, yellow, blue, white and green. Any color for you. BH Paints.
Available at Benny's. Quality and savings.
As one of the largest cable and internet providers in Belize, CBC strives to provide our customers with the highest standards of quality, value, and service in all aspects of cable TV and internet. Monitoring our systems closely, our technicians combine creative planning and state-of-the-art technology with years of experience and training to develop and provide the most reliable and advanced cable and internet service to exceed your expectations. For CBC and our team of talented engineers, technicians, and customer service representatives, delivering less than the very best is never an option.
Introducing Edam A Cheese, the A+ Dutch cheese to hit the Belizean market. As the name says, it is of A-class quality, the best Dutch cheese in Belize. Edam A Cheese is creamier, less salty, and simply more delicious. Don't be left out. Get your A Cheese at a supermarket near you. A Cheese, exclusively distributed by Unitex Company Limited. Call us at 610-3626 or 610-8910. Follow us on Facebook at Unitex Belize.
I was 17 and in love, and I thought he loved me too. But now I know that a loving partner should not take away your choice of clothes you wear or the music you listen to. He should not take away your purse, car keys, or your phone so that when your family calls, you cannot answer. If your partner is controlling you, it is domestic violence. Call 0800-A-WAY-OUT or our cell phone number, 672-9628. This message is brought to you by the National Women's Commission in collaboration with Miss Universe Belize with funding from the Engender and Spotlight Project.
It's time to put your TVs on lockdown. COVID won't stop us this time. After a year of waiting, Summerfest is back, pandemic style. If you're under the age of 18 and you think you have the talent, we are looking for you. Submit videos to us on Facebook, Instagram, and email, or join us here at Channel 5 on Coney Drive to audition from July 26th to 30th from 10 a.m. to midday. Be a part of Summerfest 2021 and show Belize your talent. Events for the newly designated Emancipation Day holiday on August 1st were released today at the Bliss Center for the Performing Arts. Across the country in various municipalities, as well as on Facebook, educational activities, exhibits, spoken word, and drumming sessions on the history of slavery and its abolishment will be shared. The month-long list of activities culminates with a visual arts competition.
The actions have been rolling in as we speak. So we finalized this very, very recently, and we are so excited to be able to partner and to be able to highlight with numerous community-based organization and numerous actors. So it's a well-rounded calendar, and we're happy to partner and highlight these organizations.
ICA is undertaking an event entitled Poet Free. We have put out 1 month now a call for submissions of poetry and prose that is short stories on the theme of emancipation and enslavement, as well as African identity, Belizean history, Belizean culture. Those are some of the themes that we are anticipating to receive poems and short stories on. And we will be having on the 31st, we will be having our reading. We will be having a virtual presentation of selected readings from these submissions. We intend to have the writers and the poets with us in a virtual event. We also are looking forward to presenting a spoken word interpretation of the actual Abolition Act. We want to put this to drumming and create a short video to take ownership and to put a creative presentation of the Abolition Act.
Organizations have in the past undertaken initiatives to observe Emancipation Day even without the holiday. For example, on October 31st, on the eve of Emancipation Day, the Queen Street Baptist Church will be hosting their Emancipation Eve church service. I think they've been doing this also in collaboration with UEF in the past. They've been doing this for a few years now, and this is now a part of the tradition. And it's directly linked to what had happened when emancipation was announced in Belize. The service was held at the Queen Street Baptist Church. So it's a tradition that the church community have taken up, and will also be held at 6 p.m. on the Saturday, July 31st, Emancipation Eve, and it will be replayed at 11 p.m. to bring in Emancipation Day on August 1st.
Slavery was abolished on August 1st, 1834. ISCR Director Nigel Encalada says that the activities are important because in this day and age, there is evidence of modern-day slavery.
Whether you believe it or not, there are modern versions and variations of slavery that need to be addressed. And so this is why it is important to know history in order to sort of prevent injustices from reoccurring to any people and to all people in this multicultural society that we call Belize. No?
Through a collaboration with Total Business Solutions Limited, an online platform will be established for Belizeans to tune in to the different activities and events across the country. Kim Vasquez says that it provides an opportunity to showcase the expressive and performing arts.
We need the online platforms. We need to find a way to bridge the gap right now for the performing arts, for the expressive arts. And we can do so much more. I think we are still just tapping into how we can use these platforms where the expressive arts and the performing arts are concerned. And like I said, this for us, we are focusing on the literary arts because we want for this year that reflection to take place. And we want to encourage the writers to help us to create that body
We need to build a national collection of writings on emancipation, on enslavement, and on Belizean history on a whole. We have a lot of talented poets and writers, and so this collaboration can help us to get that, to give them a platform for their work, no? And to encourage more during this time when it is so hard to pull off a reading or any kind of stage performance. This is the solution right here for us.
Just ahead, the National AIDS Commission hosts a mini health fair in Belize City. But first, here's the weather forecast with data from the Belize Met Service.
Taught us the importance of being connected to the virtual world, and NextGen is here to keep its commitment to you. Even if you're physically apart, NextGen keeps you digitally connected.
Okay everyone, thank you for following me today.
NextGen provides more than just an internet plan. They provide service plans that support all your online needs. Sign up today and get your NextGen's ultra high-speed internet service. NextGen, powered by Central TV and Internet.
The contamination of water we all depend on is a very urgent issue. As Belize's popularity and industries grow, challenges increase. In this episode, we will examine the issue of water pollution in Belize. Water pollution is the contamination of water bodies, usually because of human activities. Water bodies include lagoons, rivers, aquifers, and oceans. On the marine side, the discharge of sewage and bilge water from cruise ships and other live-aboard vessels, in combination with unregulated development of coastal areas, has led to the degradation of marine ecosystems such as mangroves and coral reefs. Our inland waters are facing their own challenges. As agricultural development increases, pesticides, fertilizers, and waste products are running off into rivers. Increased river traffic from boat tours and sugar barges adds to the already stressful conditions of the freshwater ecosystems. In addition, companies that collect sewage sometimes dump the waste right into the waterways. Additionally, in densely populated areas like Belize City and Orange Walk, poor sewage designs result in the contamination of groundwater and of water bodies by both sewage and wash water. In many cases, homes and businesses dump their wastewater directly into drains, which leads to rivers and the sea. Wastewater, detergents, and petroleum collect in drains that empty into waterways, such as the New River and the Belize River. This, along with the runoff and discharges from the agricultural and industrial businesses, have been inadequately monitored and enforced. The answers to overcoming water pollution issues are fourfold: improved infrastructure, adequate treatment, increased legislation and monitoring, and of course, changing our habits for the better. While it is urgent that better management on a policy level is needed, there are a few things we can do at home to help. Ensure proper treatment systems are installed for all wastewater at your home and business. Don't dispose of oil from your automobiles or cooking and household detergents down the drain. And lastly, minimize the usage of chemicals and fertilizers and report any dumping into waterways to the Department of the Environment. The government has recognized the threat of inadequate liquid waste management and is working toward goals of reducing and reversing its effects. For more information on what's being done about water pollution and ways you can help, visit our website at doe.gov.bz. I'm Alison Castillo, and now you know.
Es un hecho. Únicamente con Smart obtienes todo realmente ilimitado. Solo con Smart obtienes datos ilimitados en cualquier momento. Mientras, que con el otro proveedor solo son datos dobles los fines de semana. Con datos ilimitados todos los días no hay necesidad de esperar, así que es un hecho que nuestros planes ilimitados superan a la competencia. Por lo tanto, no permita que le digan cómo y cuándo usar sus datos y obtenga llamadas, mensajes de texto y datos ilimitados. Vive la verdadera experiencia de planes ilimitados con Smart. Es un hecho. Haga el cambio y viva Smart.
The Belize Youth Counseling and Wellness arm of the Department of Youth Services has held training for the staff on how to properly assist youth who have faced some kind of trauma. Especially in crime-ridden communities, many young people are dealing with gang violence, dysfunctional families, and poverty.
Understanding all the issues that our country right now is facing, that was one of the brainchild, I would say, of our director and minister to really help with the psychosocial issues, and so with that our counseling and wellness area has then been formed.
I think it's important for my participants to really know the importance of how trauma impacts a child's life and really the life outcomes that they have when they don't learn how to cope adequately and really learn how to build resiliency to overcome a lot of the challenges that they face as they grow older. I think a lot of the times we don't always think about those implications, and we just kind of just let it hang, and a lot of the times we see kids that end up committing crimes, kids that end up dying early, kids that end up being very defiant and not understanding why.
I enjoyed when the facilitator informed us that, that trauma can be healed in relationships and in consistent relationships, especially in the service that we'll be providing to our clients and in showing them something different that they have experienced all their lives. We could create that impact in their lives.
The National AIDS Commission today hosted a COVID-19 vaccination clinic and mini health fair at its offices in Coral Grove today. A portion of the street was blocked off to traffic as tents were erected and various stakeholders set up booths to engage residents who came out to get their jabs or who simply wanted to find out more information. Executive Director of NAC, Enrique Romero, says that the event catered to persons living with or without HIV.
As an agency that is involved in public health, we felt that it was our duty, it was our obligation to not only advocate, but to go beyond advocacy and actually partner with the Ministry of Health and Wellness in terms of mobilizing persons to come and get tested here today. Secondly, we decided that we wanted to do this because we have the expertise in terms of mobilization of persons. COVID and HIV have great similarities. We are working with our civil society partners and having them be the ones to mobilize the persons to come and get vaccinated, similarly to what we have done in the past in terms of mobilizing them to come and get an HIV test.
And that's the news. Tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5belize.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/News5Live. I'm Sabrina Daly. Thanks for joining us, and from all of us here at News 5, please remember to wash your hands, keep your social distance, and stay safe. Good night.